Most people sabotage their goals the moment they talk about them. They call it motivation. They call it accountability. They call it putting it out there. In reality, they're leaking energy. The human brain is wired to confuse expression with execution. The moment you explain your plans, your nervous system receives a false sense of completion. Dopamine fires, not because you achieved something, but because you described it, and the drive collapses. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is compression. When you keep an intention unspoken, it remains intact, focused, pressurized. The mind hasn't discharged it yet, so it continues to organize behavior around it. This is why the most dangerous moves are made quietly, why real power rarely announces itself, why the people who change their lives don't narrate the process. Talking feels productive because it soothes uncertainty. It invites validation. It recruits witnesses. But witnesses dilute intention. The moment others respond, their expectations, doubts, advice, and projections begin shaping your internal state. Your goal is no longer yours. It's been socially negotiated. Silence protects coherence. At a neurological level, sustained silence stabilizes intention in the prefrontal cortex and limits emotional interference from external feedback loops. It allows identity to shift before performance is demanded. This is why monks, strategists, elite performers, and high-level creators all share one trait. They move in silence until the result speaks for them. This audiobook will dismantle the myth that talking builds momentum. You'll learn when silence strengthens intention and when speech destroys it. How to know who deserves access to your goals, and how to use silence as a strategic amplifier rather than social withdrawal. Not everything needs to be said. Some things need to mature. Silence is not hiding. It's alignment before exposure. Chapter 1. The Conception in Darkness. Consider the biology of creation. It does not occur on a stage. It does not happen under a spotlight. It happens in the dark. The seed in the soil requires total obscurity to crack open. If you were to expose that seed to the sun, the moment it was planted, it would scorch and die. The roots need the safety of the heavy, damp earth to anchor themselves before the green shoot ever dares to break the surface. Your ambitions operate by the same law. The moment an idea is conceived in your mind, it is vulnerable. It is a microscopic spark that needs fuel and protection. The darkness of silence is that protection. When you keep your mouth shut, you are creating an incubator. You are allowing the idea to take root in your psychology, to weave itself into your daily habits, and to gather the necessary weight to become real. But most people cannot bear this silence. The silence feels heavy. It feels lonely. There is a deep human urge to alleviate the pressure of a new goal by sharing it. You want the validation. You want the pat on the back for the thing you have not yet done. You say, "I am going to lose 50 pounds," or "I am going to launch that business." In that moment of speaking, you have brought the seed out of the soil. You have exposed the delicate root to the harsh light of social validation. And just like that, the tension that creates motion is gone. Let us look at this mechanically. Action requires pressure. Think of a steam engine. The power comes from containing the steam. The pressure builds and builds until it has no choice but to move the piston. If you open a valve and let the steam hiss out into the air, you lose the pressure. You lose the movement. The engine sits cold and still. talking is the open valve. When you tell your friends your plans, you are releasing the steam. You receive a premature sense of completion. Your brain releases the chemicals of satisfaction. It feels as though you have already achieved the goal simply because you announced it. You receive the social reward without paying the price of the labor. The hunger dissipates. The late nights seem less necessary. The early mornings feel harder. Why push yourself when you have already been congratulated? You have cashed the check before doing the work, and now you are psychologically bankrupt regarding that specific ambition. Real power is cultivated in the shadows. It is the writer who toils for years without mentioning the manuscript until it is on the shelf. It is the athlete who trains in the empty gym at 4 in the morning when no one is watching. They understand that the darkness is not a void. The darkness is a forge. You must learn to be comfortable with holding a secret. There is a strange power in walking through a crowd knowing you are building something they cannot see. It adds a weight to your step. It gives you a solidity that chatter cannot provide. This is the discipline of the incubator. You are guarding the conception. You are protecting the fragile biology of your future achievement from the antiseptic light of public opinion. Do not let the air in. Do not let the steam out. Let the pressure rise until it forces you into action. Let the silence become so loud that the only way to break it is with the thunder of your results. If you want to understand the mechanics of human behavior and how to harness your own psychology for tangible results, then you are in the right place. We explore these depths every week. Make sure you are notified for the next chapter by clicking the subscribe button now. Let us continue this journey into the quiet dark together. Chapter 2. The Narcotic of Validation. The supports for building the best forward that will end up like. The narcotic of validation to get 150% of a long story. The narcotic of validation is the primarily to get these 2% of the McGannicket from 63. The clicking these individuals for my teen in the end of the most ledge states for Renewfort. The 2% of Papakpu, the narcotic of validation. Remember of the question of name that the company that was an ever specified from the narcotic of validation. If still the narcotic of validation continue to explore the someone that's to tate. We find it even making these mothers is considered for available and the street that were not relac. The narcotic of validation sadly debelt the all the line. The narcotic of validation will produce individual visible by settlated to the night dollars to 2 of an expensive subscribe. The narcotic of validation will produce individual visible by settlated to the night dollars. The narcotic of validation for built the most innovated content word. The narcotic of validation will produce individual visible by settlated to the night dollars. The narcotic of validation will produce individual visible by settlated to the night dollars. The narcotic of validation will produce individual visible by settlated to the night dollars. The narcotic of validation helps a little different block. The narcotic of validation will produce individual visible by settlated to the night dollars. The narcotic of validation will produce individual visible by settlated to the night dollars. The narcotic of validation helps a little different block. The narcotic of validation will produce individual visible by settlated to the night dollars. The narcotic of validation helps a little different block. The narcotic of validation will produce individual visible by settlated to the night dollars. The narcotic of validation helps and so notified for the next chapter by clicking the subscribe button now. The narcotic of validation. There is a precise moment where the integrity of a goal is breached. It rarely happens under torture or duress. It happens in comfort. It happens over dinner with friends or during a quiet conversation with a partner. It happens when the pressure of holding a secret becomes uncomfortable, and the desire to release that pressure becomes overwhelming. You have conceived an idea. You have decided to change your career, or transform your physique, or build an enterprise. In the darkness of your own mind, the intention is building pressure. This pressure is uncomfortable. It is supposed to be uncomfortable. That tension is the fuel required to propel you into action. It is the potential energy of a drawn bowstring. But the human ego is fragile, and it is hungry. It does not like to wait for the harvest. It wants the meal now. So you open your mouth. You look across the table, and you make the announcement. You tell them what you are going to do. You lay out the grand vision of your future self. And then comes the deadly reward. The people around you respond exactly as social convention dictates. They smile, they nod, they offer congratulations. They say that it is amazing. They tell you how proud they are of you for making such a bold decision. For a few glorious minutes, you are bathed in the warm glow of admiration. You feel understood. You feel supported. You feel significant. This is the narcotic. At that moment, your brain fails to distinguish between the talking and the doing. By receiving the social praise for the intention, you grant yourself the premature feeling of completion. The psychological reward for the achievement has been stolen and consumed before the work has even begun. You have tricked your own nervous system. When you state your goal out loud and receive validation for it, your brain releases dopamine. This is the same chemical reward you would receive if you had actually crossed the finish line. You feel good. You feel accomplished. You feel like a new person. But this feeling is a lie. It is an unearned high. You have cashed a check that you have not yet earned. Consider the physics of a steam engine. The machine works because steam is trapped inside a container. The pressure builds and builds until it has no choice but to move the piston. That containment is essential. If you punch a hole in the side of the tank, the steam escapes with a loud hiss. It makes a noise. It draws attention. But the piston does not move. The train does not go forward. When you seek validation, you are punching a hole in your own tank. You are venting your motive power into the atmosphere in the form of words. The tragedy becomes visible the next morning. You wake up and the burning urgency is gone. The boots you bought for the morning run stay in the closet. The manuscript remains blank. The business plan sits unopened on the desk. You feel a strange lethargy. You wonder where the drive went. The drive dissipated the moment you accepted the applause. You satisfied the hunger for identity without doing the labor. You wanted to be seen as the type of person who achieves these things, and your friends confirmed that identity for you. Since your identity has been affirmed, your brain sees no survival reason to endure the pain of the actual work. Silence creates a vacuum that demands to be filled with action. Talk fills that vacuum with hot air. We live in a culture that fetishizes communication. We are told to share our journey and speak our truth. But in the context of ambition, this is terrible advice. Sharing the journey is often just a sophisticated way of procrastinating the journey. It is a way to enjoy the status of the climber while standing safely at the bottom of the mountain. You must learn to recognize the impulse to share for what it is. It is not a desire for accountability. It is a desire for relief. It is your ego begging for a snack. It is a weakness. To keep a major goal to yourself requires a massive amount of restraint. It hurts to hold it in. You want to scream it from the rooftops because you want the world to know who you are becoming.
But you must let that pressure build. You must deny yourself the narcotic of validation. You must starve the ego today so that you can feed the soul tomorrow. If you tell everyone what you are going to do, you have already lost half the battle. You have sold your potential for a cheap round of applause. Keep the seal tight. Let the pressure rise until action is the only option left to you. Chapter 3. The dissipation of heat. Think of a steam engine from the industrial age. For the machine to move, for the wheels to turn, and the massive iron weight to shift forward, the steam must be contained. It must be trapped inside a thick steel chamber. As the heat rises, the pressure builds. The molecules scream for an exit. They push against the walls with increasing violence. This tension is not comfortable. It is dangerous. It is volatile. But it is the only thing that creates movement. Now imagine the engineer opens a valve before the piston ever moves. A whistle blows. A cloud of white vapor shoots into the sky. The pressure drops instantly. The danger is gone. The machine is safe. The silence returns. But the wheels do not turn. This is exactly what happens when you speak your intentions to the world. We often mistake the heat of inspiration for the heat of action. They feel similar in the beginning. You have an idea, a massive, life-altering goal. It burns in your chest. It keeps you awake at night. It is a physical sensation of pressure. You feel the need to do something with it. The human instinct is to share this burden. You want to tell a friend. You want to post an update. You want to announce to your family that you are going to change your life. The moment you do this, you open the valve. You receive the nod of approval. You hear the words of encouragement. You feel the warm glow of being understood and supported. The tension in your chest subsides. You feel lighter. You feel relieved. You mistake this relief for progress. You think that because you have spoken it, you have somehow birthed it into reality. But you have not birthed anything. You have merely vented the steam. You have taken the raw, chaotic energy that was meant to fuel months of hard labor, and you have released it into the atmosphere as sound waves. It is gone. The heat has dissipated. Psychologically, your brain is easily tricked. It struggles to differentiate between the social reality of talking about a goal and the physical reality of achieving it. When you tell everyone you are writing a book and they congratulate you on being an author, your brain accepts the reward prematurely. It checks the box. It releases the satisfaction chemicals. It says, "We have arrived." The hunger needed to actually sit in the chair and wrestle with the words is gone, because the psychological need for status has already been met. This creates a state of cold intentions. You sit down to do the work, but the fire is out. The pressure that forced you to act is no longer there. You look at the task, and it feels heavy, boring, and lifeless. You wonder where the passion went. You wonder why you have lost your motivation. You did not lose it. You gave it away. You traded the uncomfortable, driving force of containment for the cheap, instant comfort of conversation. Consider the day after the announcement. You wake up. The world knows your plan. The validation has been harvested. Now you are left with the debt. You promised a result, but you spent the energy required to get it. This is where the shame begins. You find yourself avoiding the very people you told because you have nothing new to report. The silence you refused to keep earlier
now returns as a silence of embarrassment. Real creation requires a containment vessel. It requires you to hold the silence even when it burns. You must learn to sit with the pressure. You must let the heat rise until it has no choice but to move your hands and your feet. If you cannot bear the heat of your own ambitions without leaking them to the nearest listener, you will never build up enough pressure to break through your own resistance. You will remain a machine that whistles loudly but never moves an inch. You must understand that silence is not just the absence of noise. It is the preservation of energy. Every word you speak about your plan is a leak in the system. Keep the valve shut. Let the pressure build. Let it become unbearable. Let it drive you. Chapter 4. The Phantom Plan. This interview that work with back for truth of children. The system that for generally claim to changes without leaking themselves into the expertunes, in the truth of filled building the truth of children. Share the description that the sustenance that we change work through, there is. If you will remain a pressure, keep the word your plan, is a tract, put again. Chapter 4. The Phantom Plan. Share the description that this is a place to be down to it, that silence is not answer of the children. Let it become unbearable. Let it become unbearable. Notice it the truth, the crazy, the children. Share that as pressure wait for the problem selves. Share that destruction that will become more interested. She said that they state the face between the break through the world. She will make the children. Chapter 4. The Phantom Plan. Share that this instruction that prepared form will be able to work through the energy to the problem. She said that they state a secret to the skilled. You must drive you. Chapter 4. The Phantom Plan. Share that is breakthrough the all the world is a pressure carry up. The neighbor vision believe. You will get the family really sense the global with care. She said that this work was coming on and the single. Share that this instruction that they make similar in bring you. Share that this instruction that they needed by the singer. She said that they visit by no risen is the greeter. Share that this instruction that probably did it with a life. Share that they expected for a needed to the skilled. You must work this. Share that this instruction that they cannot bear the heat of your own ambitions without leaking themselves. You must never bear the heat. Share that this instruction that they have discussed with another wisdom. You must never. Share that this instruction that they needed by the singer. She said that they would not gingerly really like them and bring it. Share that this instruction that they had never build. You must never. Share that this instruction that they filled never build into the singer. You must never. Share that this instruction that they spaced were mented. Share that this instruction that they needed by the singer. You must never build. Share that this instruction that they made be never build. You must never. Share that this instruction that they cannot bear the heat in the end the system. You must never. You must never. Never and to the other chapter. Share that this instruction that they needed maybe they can't faced to the singer to carry up. Share that this instruction that they needed by the singer. You must never. Share that this instruction that they filled never build. Share that this instruction that they have never build. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they sense of invest. You must never. Share that this instruction that they needed by the singer. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share that this instruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through the disgust. You must never. Share the destruction that they make it break through.
The danger here is not just that you are wasting time talking. The danger is that you are satisfying the hunger that is required to do the work. Ambition thrives on tension. It lives in the gap between who you are and who you want to be. That gap is uncomfortable. It is painful. It creates a psychological pressure that pushes you to act. You work to relieve that pressure. You work to close the gap. But conversation is a pressure valve. When you talk, you release the steam. You bridge the gap with words instead of actions. By the time you go home and sit down to do the actual work, the urgency is gone. The tension has evaporated. You feel a strange lethargy. You feel satisfied. You feel finished. This is because your identity has already shifted. In the eyes of your peers, you are now the person who is writing the book, or losing the weight, or learning the language. You have claimed the identity label. Once you have the label, the labor feels unnecessary. The mind asks why it should suffer through the grind when it already has the trophy. You have likely experienced this. You announce a new diet, and for a few days you feel virtuous. You feel healthy just by virtue of the announcement. But when the first craving hits, you cave. You lack the grit to resist because you have already consumed the reward of being a healthy person. You ate the menu instead of the meal. We often disguise this behavior as seeking accountability. We tell ourselves that by making our goals public, we are forcing ourselves to stick to them. This is rarely true. True accountability does not require an audience. It requires a witness to the struggle, not a cheerleader for the idea. When you seek applause for a plan, you are not looking for accountability. You are looking for a narcotic. You are looking to be soothed. The phantom accomplishment is a seductive trap because it mimics reality. It feels like progress. It feels like you are birthing something into the world.
But you are only birthing a story. And stories that are told too soon have a way of never becoming real. The silence you maintain is the only thing that keeps the tension alive. By refusing to speak, you deny yourself the premature reward. You deny yourself the unearned identity. You force your brain to understand that the only way to get the feeling of completion is to actually complete the task. You keep the ghost away so that the reality can take its place. You must learn to distinguish between the map and the territory. The words you speak are just the map. They are a drawing of the destination. But the phantom accomplishment convinces you that holding the map is the same as walking the path. It leaves you standing still, clutching a piece of paper, believing you have already arrived.
Chapter 5. The Theft of Sovereignty. We have third there in the day is a super property by her appeared the trance.
The theft of sovereignty. We have learning to stay the titellum already of a sovereignty. But the theft of sovereignty, we have applyment for the program. Chapter 5. The theft of sovereignty. We have no consequences with a plan form of the destination. But the example successful as you and straight for him, we have nothing trades to emerge. The instant that the program to get the property, we can take the map and completely working the territory. We have learned to be command that the brots of sovereignty, of never make the map that served. Chapter 5. The theft of sovereignty, we have already arrived. We have learned to peak and tin to begins to radio of chapter of sovereignty. We have a new development for this by public people and provide them. We have a generalized to individual as that, with a great fang that they have important of present. We have examined the internal decay of your drive. We have looked at how your own biology betrays you when you speak too soon. Now we must turn our gaze outward to the social transaction that occurs when you break your silence. This is where the damage becomes external. This is where you lose ownership of your own future. When you keep a plan to yourself, you are the absolute ruler of that domain. The idea lives in your mind, and within that mental space, you possess total sovereignty. You decide the parameters. You decide the timeline. You decide what success looks like. It is a kingdom of one, and because it is contained, it is secure. The moment you speak, you abdicate the throne. To share a goal is to invite a second opinion into a space that cannot yet withstand it. You might believe you are simply sharing news or seeking encouragement, but in the brutal arithmetic of human psychology, you are doing something far more dangerous. You are soliciting a vote. You are transforming a dictatorship of the will into a democracy of opinions. Consider the dynamics of this theft. You tell a friend about the business you intend to build or the physical transformation you intend to undergo. Instantly, their perception of you shifts. They may offer praise, which we have already established is a sedative, but they may also offer doubt. They might ask a question that you do not yet have the answer to. That question, innocent as it may seem, lodges itself in your psyche like a splinter. Suddenly, you are not just fighting the difficulty of the task itself. You are now fighting the doubt introduced by an external observer. You have given them a foothold in your mind. Their skepticism becomes a weight you must carry, dragging down the very energy you need to move forward. This is the loss of sovereignty. You are no longer acting solely on your own volition. You are now acting in response to an audience. Even if the listener is supportive, you have lost your freedom. Once the goal is known, you are beholden to their expectation. The next time you see them, they will ask how it is going. That innocent query creates a layer of performance anxiety that did not exist before. You are no longer working for the sake of the work. You are working to have something to report. You are working to avoid the embarrassment of admitting you have stalled. The purity of your intention is corrupted by the need to maintain a public image. You begin to make choices based on how they will look to others, rather than what is most effective for the objective. You might rush a process that needs patience because you feel the pressure of the audience watching you. You might abandon a necessary pivot because you already told everyone you were going in a specific direction. The spoken word cements you into a path that might need to remain fluid. Silence allows you the flexibility to fail, to adjust, and to change course without the shame of public retraction. When you are silent, your mistakes are data points for your own learning. When you are loud, your mistakes become failures in the eyes of the jury you convened. There is also a subtle dilution that happens when we try to translate a complex vision into words. Language is a blunt instrument. The fire in your belly, the intricate strategy in your mind, and the deep instinct driving you forward cannot be fully captured in a casual conversation. When you try to explain it, you inevitably simplify it. You strip away the nuance to make it understandable to someone who does not share your obsession. In doing so, you often convince yourself of this simplified version. You talk your grand vision down into something mundane, just to make it palatable to a casual listener. You cheapen the dream to sell it to an audience that is not buying. You must understand that your sovereignty is derived from your privacy. Your power comes from the fact that no one knows your next move. In a competitive world, predictability is a weakness. When you broadcast your intentions, you are showing your hand before the cards are played. You are giving away the element of surprise, but more importantly, you are giving away your autonomy. Protect your sovereignty with the same ferocity you would protect your physical property. Do not let the casual opinions of others trespass on the sacred ground of your potential. Do not hand over the keys to your internal engine. Keep the gates closed. Keep the work within the walls. Let the world see only the finished castle, never the construction site. Chapter 6. The Weight of Expectation. There is a precise moment when a dream transforms into a burden. It happens the instant you vocalize it to an audience. Before you spoke, your ambition was a creature of the air. It was light and malleable and entirely yours. It existed in the realm of possibility, where the laws of physics do not yet apply, and where the cost of failure is zero. But the second you told your friend or your partner or the internet about what you intend to do, You pulled that idea out of the sky and chained it to the ground. You gave it mass, you gave it gravity, and now you have to carry it. This is the weight of expectation. When you keep your intentions silent, you retain the ability to change direction without explanation. If you start writing a novel in silence, and halfway through you realize the plot is broken, you can simply discard it or reshape it. No one is watching. No one is keeping score. You are the sovereign ruler of that creative process. You can fail 1,000 times in the dark, and no one will ever know. This freedom allows for genuine experimentation and risk. However, once you announce the book you are writing, you have signed a social contract. You have told the world that you are a person who does this specific thing. Now you are no longer writing because the story demands to be told. You are writing because you are terrified of looking like a liar. The motivation shifts from internal desire to external pressure. The psychology of your work changes entirely. You are not running toward a finish line with joy. You are running away from humiliation with fear. We often mistake this pressure for accountability. We tell ourselves that if we share our goals, the people around us will keep us on track. But usually, they do not keep us on track. They merely watch. They become spectators in a theater you did not mean to build. And spectators have questions. Consider the devastating impact of a casual inquiry. You meet an acquaintance for coffee, and they ask you how that new business venture is going. In that moment, your brain freezes. You are forced to produce a progress report. You have to sanitize the messy reality of the work and present a polished narrative to satisfy their curiosity. You spend your mental energy defending your position rather than advancing it.
Every time you have to explain yourself, you lose a little more of the raw, chaotic energy required to actually do the difficult thing. You begin to resent the goal itself because it has become a source of social interrogation. This is why silence is aerodynamic. Silence allows you to be weightless. When you move in silence, you can pivot. You can change your mind. You can abandon a bad idea and adopt a better one 5 minutes later, and nobody calls you inconsistent. You maintain the element of surprise, which is a tactical advantage in business and in life. But when you are weighed down by the expectations of others, you become rigid. You stay on a sinking ship simply because you told everyone you were sailing to the other side, and you are too proud to admit the vessel is leaking. The weight of expectation is heavy because it is made of other people's memories. They remember what you said you would do. They hold a version of you in their minds that does not yet exist in reality. And now you have to work twice as hard, not just to build your vision, but to catch up to the image you projected. You have created a debt that must be paid with your time and your sanity. Do not saddle yourself with this burden before you have even taken the first step. Do not invite the audience into the rehearsal room. Keep the door shut. Keep the work light. Keep the expectation at 0. When you finally reveal what you have done, let it be a finished product that speaks for itself. Until then, let the only weight you carry be the discipline of your own daily action. Chapter 7. The Herman Who Has Ability. Just about first company actions of the heaven since. For more to 19th of Nuvezet, which is much be involved someone has states for rich, to be a very bigness. Chapter 7. The Herman Believe the Design. The bestful is that new miss expensible, which is made what you have. If you want to discover the ground, this place the day that is not. Chapter 7. The Herman looks for it. Let it for the bestful is that new miss expensible, which is bent point forever. Until then, let the only weight you carry be the discipline. Chapter 7. The Herman Believe the Design. Chapter 7. The Herman says, you adjust for the world of speak and hear the actions program. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is always very platforward. But the close that the study that you do, you wanted to start to the bestful and clear. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Until then, let the only weight you carry be the discipline of here. Chapter 7. The Herman provides, you is never tent that is graded point, which is not and clear as approach the bestful. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, which is not and clear as approach the bestful. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you is new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. Chapter 7. The Herman provides of gods, you as new miss expensible, because it must be paid. 7. The Hermetic Seal. We have arrived at the final gate. You have traced the leak back to its source. You understand now that validation is a narcotic that dulls your senses. You see how sharing your goals dissipates the heat required to forge them. You recognize the phantom accomplishment for the ghost that it is. You have felt the theft of your sovereignty and the crushing weight of expectation. Now you must learn the art of containment. You must learn how to close the door and lock it from the inside. This brings us to the concept of the Hermetic Seal. In the context of chemistry and engineering, to be hermetically sealed is to be airtight. Nothing gets in and nothing gets out. It is a state of absolute isolation from the external environment.
When a vessel is sealed this tightly, it allows for reactions to take place that are impossible in the open air. It allows for high pressure. It allows for intense heat. It allows for transformation. Your mind is that vessel. Your intention is the volatile substance inside it. Most people live with the lid off. They are open systems. Every thought they have immediately evaporates into the atmosphere of social conversation. They feel a sudden urge to get fit, and within the hour, they have announced it to 3 people. The energy of that urge, which was designed to propel them to the gym, is released as sound waves. It creates a momentary ripple in the air, and then it is gone. The pressure normalizes. The drive vanishes. They remain exactly where they were, only now they are empty. To practice the hermetic seal is to consciously deny yourself that release. It is a deliberate act of psychological compression. When you have a vision for your future, you do not speak it. You do not hint at it. You do not post cryptic messages about big things coming soon. You clamp the lid down. This is uncomfortable. It is important to acknowledge the discomfort because it is the mechanism of action. When you seal your intentions inside, the pressure begins to build. You will feel a physical urge to share. You will want the dopamine hit of a friend telling you that it sounds like a great idea. You will crave the reassurance that you are on the right path. You must let that craving burn you. That burning sensation is not a problem. It is the engine warming up. By refusing to talk, you are trapping the energy within your own nervous system. The anxiety you feel is actually potential energy looking for an outlet. If you refuse to give it the outlet of speech, it will eventually force another door open. It will force the door of action. This is the secret of the high achiever that seems to move in silence. They are not silent because they are shy. They are silent because they are utilizing the physics of psychological pressure. They know that if they open their mouths, the steam escapes, and a steam engine without pressure is just a heavy pile of cold iron. It does not move. When you apply the hermetic seal, you protect your sovereignty. No one can sabotage a plan they do not know exists. No one can place their expectations on a goal you have never articulated. You are free to fail, to adjust, and to pivot without the audience watching. You are working in the darkroom, developing the film, and you know that if you turn on the lights of public scrutiny too soon, the image will be destroyed. There is a profound dignity in this silence. It separates the dreamer from the architect. The dreamer needs an audience to make the dream feel real. The architect needs quiet to ensure the foundation can hold the weight. So let the pressure build. Let the silence become heavy. Do not seek to relieve the tension of your ambition with cheap talk. Let the tension become so unbearable that the only way to relieve it is to do the work. Let the only evidence of your intention be the finished product. Seal the vessel. Watch the heat rise, and do not break the silence until the transformation is complete. Chapter 8. The Betrayal of Mystery. There is a currency in human interaction that is far more valuable than raw intelligence, and far more compelling than mere charisma. That currency is mystery. Throughout this journey, we have explored the biological and psychological costs of speaking too soon. We have looked at the chemical loss of drive and the dissipation of focus. Now we must turn our attention outward to the social and strategic landscape. We must examine what happens to your standing in the world when you refuse to keep your counsel. We live in an era of radical transparency. We are encouraged to broadcast our thoughts and live stream our intentions. We are told that vulnerability is a strength and that sharing our journey invites support. While this may be true for emotional processing, it is fatal for ambition. When you reveal your plans, you commit the betrayal of mystery. You take the complex and potent potential of your future, and you flatten it into a simple sentence. You turn a mountain into a map. Consider the mechanics of attention. Human beings are naturally drawn to the unknown. We are hardwired to solve puzzles and to investigate what is hidden. When a person walks into a room and speaks little but acts with purpose, they generate a gravitational pull. Others wonder what they are thinking. They wonder what they are building. That silence creates a vacuum that other people try to fill with their respect and their curiosity. The unknown carries weight. Now contrast this with the person who explains everything. The moment you articulate exactly what you are going to do and how you are going to do it, you solve the puzzle for everyone else. You become a known quantity. You become predictable. In the eyes of your peers, the project is no longer a looming force of change. It is just another item on a to-do list that they do not have to worry about. By explaining your intentions, you remove the tension that makes a goal compelling. You have spoiled the ending of your own story before the first chapter is even written. This is the betrayal. You betray the magnitude of your vision by reducing it to small talk. You allow people to categorize you. Once they have categorized you, they can dismiss you. They place you in a mental box labeled dreamer or aspirant, and they move on with their lives. You have traded the heavy, imposing presence of a work in progress for the cheap, fleeting comfort of a conversation. There is a strategic advantage to remaining an enigma. When you work in the shadows, your competitors and detractors cannot counter your moves because they do not know what those moves are. You retain the element of surprise. But more importantly, you retain your sovereignty. A declared plan is subject to the critique and doubt of the crowd. An undeclared plan acts only upon the world. It is a one-way street of influence. The silence acts as a shield, preventing the outside world from contaminating your logic with their limitations. You must understand that the world does not need to know your mechanics. It only needs to see your results. When you maintain silence, you preserve the integrity of the cause and effect relationship. You are the cause. The result is the effect. There should be no bridge of words in between to dilute that power. When you explain the magic trick before you perform it, the audience loses interest, and the magician loses his status. When you talk, you make yourself common. You make your ambition mundane. You take something that should be rare and fragile, and you expose it to the harsh light of public scrutiny, where it creates no wonder and commands no awe. To maintain your power, you must be comfortable with being misunderstood, or better yet, not understood at all. You must be willing to carry the weight of your intention alone, without the crutch of external validation. Do not betray the mystery of your potential. Do not hand over the blueprint of your life to people who have no hand in building it. Keep the puzzle unsolved. Keep the ending hidden. Let them watch and let them wonder. The shock of your eventual success will be all the explanation they ever require.
The energy leak. There is a principle in thermodynamics that states work is performed by the transfer of energy from a high-pressure system to a low-pressure system. An engine moves because heat is trapped and compressed. The desire to expand creates force, and that force drives the piston. If the containment vessel is compromised, the pressure equalizes with the atmosphere, and all potential for movement is lost. This physical law applies directly to the psychology of human ambition. Your intention creates a high-pressure system within your mind. When you identify a goal that is currently out of reach, you create a deliberate imbalance. You are here, and you want to be there. The distance between your current reality and your desired future creates tension. This tension is uncomfortable. It manifests as anxiety or restlessness, or a burning desire to act. Most people misunderstand this tension. They view it as a negative feeling that must be resolved immediately. They want to relieve the pressure. The fastest and easiest way to relieve this internal pressure is not to do the work. It is to talk about the work. When you speak your intentions aloud, you are opening a valve. You are letting the steam escape into the open air. The immediate result is a feeling of satisfaction. You feel lighter. You feel understood. You receive nods of approval and encouraging words from your listeners. The anxiety of the unfulfilled goal dissipates. You have returned to a state of emotional equilibrium. But you must understand that this equilibrium is a disaster for your progress. You have just vented the fuel that was necessary to drive the engine. The tension you felt was the raw material of action. It was the potential energy waiting to be converted into kinetic energy. By speaking, you converted it into sound waves instead. You dissipated the charge. This is the mechanical reality of the energy lead.
Every time you share your secret plans, you are creating a puncture in your containment field. You are trading the heavy, distinct burden of responsibility for the cheap, fleeting pleasure of social validation. It is a poor transaction. You are selling the gold of your future accomplishment for the copper pennies of present attention. Consider the person who is perpetually announcing their next great endeavor. They speak with passion and absolute certainty about the business they will build or the physical transformation they will undergo. They are articulate and convincing. Yet, time passes and their reality remains unchanged. We often judge these people as liars, but that is an incorrect diagnosis. They are not lying. In the moment of speech, they fully intend to act. The tragedy is that the act of speaking is the very thing that prevents the doing. They talk the energy out of their system. They satisfy their brain's need for resolution through language rather than labor. They are not liars. They are simply leaking vessels. To keep a goal secret is to keep it pressurized. This is the discipline of the Hermetic seal. You must learn to sit with the discomfort of the unspoken. You must allow the pressure to build inside you without seeking the release valve of conversation. When you refuse to speak, you deny yourself the easy exit. You force the energy to find the only other path available to it. If the steam cannot escape through the whistle, it must move the wheels. If you do not talk, you are forced to work. Silence acts as a dam. It holds back the river of your intent until the weight of the water is sufficient to turn the turbines of reality. If you open the floodgates too early, the water simply flows away and no power is generated. This is why silence is often described as heavy. It carries the weight of all the things you have not yet said and all the things you have not yet done. It is a burden, but you must be strong enough to carry it.
You must possess the fortitude to contain your own fire without letting the heat escape. The world does not need to hear what you are going to do. The world does not need your announcements or your roadmaps or your promises. The laws of cause and effect do not respond to words. They respond only to force applied over time. Close the valve, seal the leak. Let the pressure build until action is the only option left. Chapter 10. The Sacred Boundary. You have arrived at the defining line. This is the perimeter that separates the raw potential of your mind from the concrete resistance of the world. We call this the sacred boundary. In this context, the word sacred does not imply religious devotion or mystical superstition. It is used in its oldest and most functional sense. To hold something as sacred means to set it apart. It means to keep it distinct from the common and the mundane. It is the practice of separation. This boundary is the only thing standing between your intent and the chaotic noise of society. Most people live without this perimeter. They live in a state of constant exposure. Their inner thoughts are immediately broadcast to their outer circle. They have no filter and no containment system. Because they lack this boundary, they are unable to build the necessary psychological pressure required to do difficult things. Think of a pressure cooker or a steam engine. These machines rely on a very simple principle of physics. They work because they are sealed. The energy is trapped inside a contained space. As the heat rises, the pressure builds. Because the pressure has nowhere to go, it is forced to convert into mechanical work. It moves the piston. It drives the wheels. It cooks the food. The seal is what makes the power useful. If you puncture the side of that engine, the steam escapes. It creates a loud noise and perhaps a visually impressive cloud of vapor, but the engine stops moving. The pressure equalizes with the atmosphere, and the capacity for work drops to zero. This is exactly what happens when you violate the sacred boundary of your silence. When you speak about your unfinished goals, you are piercing the hull of your own vessel. You are letting the pressurized steam of your ambition escape into the atmosphere of casual conversation. You might get a moment of attention. You might feel a brief sense of relief as the tension leaves your body. But that tension was the fuel you needed to survive the long journey ahead. Establishing this boundary requires a profound shift in how you view your relationships. We are conditioned to believe that intimacy requires total transparency. We are told that we must share every hope and every dream to be authentic. This is a dangerous misconception. True autonomy requires a private sector of the mind that is accessible only to you. This is where your plans must mature. When you invite others into this space before the work is done, you are inviting contamination. You are allowing their doubts and their indifference to mix with your resolve. Even their praise is a contaminant. When they applaud you for a plan you have not yet executed, your brain releases a chemical reward that mimics the feeling of actual achievement. You feel satisfied before you have even started. You have consumed the meal before it was cooked. The sacred boundary is your defense against this theft. It is a deliberate wall you build around your intent. Inside this wall, you are the sovereign. Outside this wall, you are simply an observer of the world. You must learn to walk through your daily life carrying a heavy secret. You must learn to sit at dinner tables and listen to others talk about their vague plans, while you remain silent about your concrete actions. This silence creates a specific kind of gravity. It makes you heavier and more substantial. People can sense when a person is holding something back, not out of fear, but out of discipline. It commands a level of respect that constant chatter can never achieve. You must become comfortable with the solitude of this position. It can feel lonely to carry a great ambition without sharing the burden. You will want to unburden yourself. You will want to be understood. You will crave the validation of a witness. You must deny these impulses. You must keep the seal intact. The boundary is not there to keep people out. It is there to keep your power in. It is the hermetic seal that allows the alchemical process of hard work to transform an idea
into a reality. If you break the seal, the reaction stops. Keep it secret to keep it distinct. Keep it silent to keep it potent. This is the discipline of the boundary. Chapter 11. The Echo Chamber. Imagine the position where it's first again, who haven't the broadcast friends to work in the first frame. Imagine the skillful following program, the problems of many left of courses for over 80 people, in called Chapter 11. Imagine the echo chamber, the chapter of space to keep the pair. Imagine the brief performance of 4 company and spurred and prepared through the boundary in called kitses. The echo chamber, the chapter of space to keep the pair. Imagine the people head in a break the boundary to keep the pair and people into professorated. The people who is not expected for me. The people who has not applied the end of the stage to transform the program on caring about. Imagine has been done people with original goals into the bird and thinking that this person must feel edited. Imagine the people who worked to keep the pair, the people who was not expected for me. Imagine the gain stature, the people who was not a nationally and prepared the bird in called Chapter 11. The people who was not expected for me. Imagine the building the brain of the stage to keep the pair. The people who was not expected from me. Imagine the break the brain filled between the end of the bird. The people who was not expected from me. Imagine the people who is not considered from me. Imagine who is not expected from me. The people who is not expected from me, without sharing the burning, the echo chamber. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a perfectly calibrated recording studio. In this space, the acoustics are flawless. The air is still. When you conceive of a new goal or a grand ambition, the sound of that thought is crisp and clear. It rings true because it originates from the core of your own psychology. It is uncorrupted. It belongs entirely to you. But most people cannot bear the solitude of this studio. The silence feels heavy. The responsibility of holding a vision entirely alone becomes suffocating. So you open the door. You step out into the hallway, and you speak your intention to the first person you see. You tell a friend about your business plan. You tell your family about your desire to change your physique. You post your progress on a digital platform. At that exact moment, you have walked into the echo chamber. You might believe you are simply sharing information. You might think you are gathering support or accountability. But physics and psychology dictate a different outcome. When you project a sound wave, it must eventually hit a surface and bounce back. In the social world, those surfaces are other people. And here is the danger. People are not flat, neutral mirrors. They are textured landscapes filled with their own insecurities and failures and biases. When your pure intention hits the landscape of another person's mind, it changes. The signal distorts. If you tell a cautious person about a risky venture, your idea hits the wall of their fear. When the echo comes back to you, it is no longer just your ambition. It is now wrapped in their hesitation. You hear their doubts mixed in with your drive. If you tell a jealous person about your potential success, the echo returns laden with subtle sabotage. You might hear a sarcastic remark or a backhanded compliment. These are low frequencies that disturb your focus. Even if they mean well, their feedback is filtered through their limitations, not yours. You are no longer navigating by your own internal compass. You are steering your ship based on the distorted radar readings of everyone around you. This serves to muddy the waters of your intent. Before you spoke, the path was a straight line from desire to action.
After you speak, the path becomes a negotiation. You start to unconsciously adjust your behavior to satisfy the echo. You modify your goal to make it more palpable to the audience you have invited in. You soften the edges of your ambition so it does not offend the listeners. The tragedy of the echo chamber is that you slowly lose authorship of your own life. You start living a version of your goal that is acceptable to the crowd rather than the one that was necessary for your soul. You find yourself explaining and justifying and defending a plan that is not even hatched yet. This consumes a tremendous amount of cognitive fuel. The mental resources that should be burned in the engine of execution are wasted in the exhaust pipe of explanation. Furthermore, the echo chamber creates a false sense of reality.
If you are surrounded by people who agree with you, then you are seduced by confirmation bias. You feel right, but you have accomplished nothing. If you are surrounded by people who disagree, you are drained by the need to prove them wrong. Both states are distractions. To maintain the sanctity of your will, you must realize that silence is the only soundproofing available to you. By keeping your mouth shut, you keep the studio door closed. You prevent the outside world from adding its noise to your signal. You ensure that the only voice guiding your hand is your own. The moment you seek validation outside, you step into the cavern of opinions, and in that cavern, the echo is always louder than the origin. Stay in the studio. Keep the door locked. Let the work make the noise when it is finished. Chapter 12. The Thunder of the Deed. This movement the day is the doctor of the break and game. The 10 of the moment was Ripids 1:16-18, the Dest to Heaven. Chapter 12. The Thunder of the Deed. This movement today is the provided mist thunder of the deed. So you're next feud from November here. Let the game that intigate isn't any day. Don't into across the program here. You must clickly get, by the clicking of lost, his by any beautiful kids a new clicks to the world. Let the second program here, then was face than clicks. Chapter 12. The Thunder of the Deed. Chapter 12. The Thunder of the Deed. The thunder of the deed, you must have been a new clicks. Chapter 12. The Thunder of the Deed. Chapter 12. The Thunder of the Deed. So you must find the thunder of the deed. Chapter 12. The Thunder of the Deed. The thunder of the deed, you must never get by the clicks. Let the game that the thunder of the deed. Chapter 12. The Thunder of the Deed. If you are surrounded by people who agree with you, you must also then dissolve. Thunder of the Deed. Consider the physical nature of a storm. You see the flash of lightning first. It tears across the sky in absolute silence. It is only after the connection is made and the energy has struck the earth that you hear the thunder. The sound is the aftershock. It is the echo of impact. It is the evidence of power and not the power itself. Most people have this order of operations entirely backward. They want the thunder without the lightning. They want the noise. They want the applause and the awe and the recognition before they have generated a single volt of electricity. When you speak about your plans, you are trying to manufacture thunder with your mouth. You are mimicking the sound of impact because you are terrified of the silence required to build a charge. This is the tragic comedy of the modern aspirant. You stand in the center of the room and you broadcast what you are going to do. You tell them about the book you are writing, or the business you are building, or the discipline you are adopting. You make a lot of noise, and for a moment, you feel powerful. You feel the vibration of your own voice, and you mistake it for the vibration of reality.
You confuse the map with the territory. But the mechanics of the mind are unforgiving. By making the sound, you have released the pressure. You have opened the safety valve. The psychological tension that was building up inside you was meant to be the fuel. That discomfort you feel when you have a great idea but have not yet executed it is essential. It is a form of suffering. It is a hunger. It gnaws at you. It keeps you awake at night. It demands resolution. And there is only one way to resolve it in the physical world. You must do the work. However, the human mind is both clever and lazy. It has found a way to cheat. It knows that talking relieves that tension. If you tell your friend about the difficult journey you are planning, the brain releases a flood of satisfaction. It gives you a chemical reward that is almost identical to the reward you would get from actually completing the journey. You have hacked your own reward system. You tricked your biology into thinking the deed is done. And because the tension is gone, the drive to endure the hardship evaporates. You satisfied the hunger with empty calories. Silence preserves the hunger. When you refuse to speak, the tension grows. It becomes unbearable. It circulates within your nervous system and looks for an exit. Since you have blocked the exit of speech, you force that energy to find the only other escape route available: action. You work because you have to. You work to get the idea out of your head and into reality so that you can finally rest. The silence acts as a compressor. It squeezes your intention until it becomes solid. It turns a vague wish into a hardened necessity. There is a distinct weight to a person who does not speak of their plans. When you enter a room carrying a secret mission, you possess a gravitational pull. People can sense it.
They do not know what you are up to, but they know you are up to something. You are not leaking your sovereignty. You are containing it. You are a closed circuit. And a closed circuit is the only kind that can build a charge high enough to do any real damage to the status quo. So let the others babble. Let them announce their resolutions and their revolutions. Let them publish manifestos about the new version of themselves. You simply watch. You remain the quiet observer in the corner. You know that the more they talk, the less they will do. Their words are the escaping steam of a boiler that will never power an engine. You keep your valve shut. You let the pressure rise. You let the heat build until it is dangerous. And when you finally move, it will not be with a whimper or an explanation. It will be with the sudden, terrifying force of a lightning strike. The world will see the deed first. And then, long after you have moved on to the next conquest, they will finally hear the thunder. Epilogue: The Keeper of the Flame. You have walked through the anatomy of a leak and seen how easily power escapes through an open mouth. Now you stand at the threshold of a new discipline. To be the keeper of the flame is not a passive state, but an act of aggressive conservation. You are guarding the raw psychological fuel required to change your material reality. When you refuse to broadcast your intentions, you trap that heat inside. It builds pressure. It demands release through action rather than speech. This is the mechanism of true productivity. There is no magic here. There is only the preservation of drive. The world will constantly ask for a status update. It will beg for a peek at your plans. Deny them. Let the silence become heavy and uncomfortable.
In that heaviness, you will find the leverage to move mountains. Do not announce the fire. Let them feel the warmth only after the structure is built. Close your mouth. Get to work.
And let the thunder of the deed be the only sound you make.